How's it going, guys? It's your boy Brandon Swims, and we're back with another movie review. Today, the movie we're going to be talking about is a new movie that just came out. It's called Heretic, and it stars Hugh Grant and Sophie Thatcher. And let me tell you, they carry this movie for the majority of its runtime. But I'm going to give you guys a synopsis, and then we'll hop into the review. So, the synopsis of this film is two young missionaries are forced to prove their faith when they knock on the wrong door and are greeted by the diabolical Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, becoming ensnared in his deadly game of cat and mouse. So, like I said, this film has Hugh Grant and Sophie Thatcher in it, and it also has Chloe East and Topher Grace, by my pleasant surprise while watching this. And it's funny to me that this has Topher Grace because there is a line in here where they talk about with great power comes great responsibility. Without hesitation, the character played by Chloe East, Sister Paxton, and I both at the same time said, Spider-Man. And so it's funny to me that there's a Spider-Man reference in a movie where Topher Grace is in it. If you guys don't know, Topher Grace played Venom back in Spider-Man 3, and that is why this is funny to me. This movie kept me on the edge of my seat for the entire 111-minute runtime, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, I think that it's carried by Hugh Grant and Sophie Thatcher's performance in the majority of it, but there is a turning point where Chloe East's character, Sister Paxton, starts to take over and she starts to be in control and kind of narrate the direction that the film is headed. The synopsis of the film, I think, is one that gives you a great overview of the movie without spoiling anything. This is exactly what you see in the trailer. And let me tell you, there's nothing that could have prepared me for the type of movie that this was. This is a movie that is a faith crisis movie. And if you don't know what I mean by that, it's a movie where the characters in the movie are Christian. They're actually Mormon, Latter-day Saints, and they are forced to question everything about their religion. And I think this film does a really good job of portraying how, as societally, people may question their religion and question the things that they believe in. It lays out all of these fundamentals of how Christianity was kind of founded and different religions that have similarities with it. And I think it does a really good job of laying these things out. But in addition to that, it adds to the plot point. It's not just a movie that's preaching to you about, hey, X, Y, and Z religion have this, X, Y, and Z religion has that. It is a movie that takes that and spins it and puts it on its head and allows you to feel like you're in the shoes of the character if you're somebody who is Christian like myself, where you're questioning everything that's happening throughout the movie. There's a point in this movie where Hugh Grant is trying to play God, essentially. And when he's trying to play God, he's basically telling these two sisters that there's only one true religion, and in this journey that they're going to go on with him, they need to find out what the one true religion is. And I think this film does a really good job of setting a basis up of what the movie is going to be about, getting you into that, and then leaving you in suspense of how these two characters are going to get out of the situation that they found themselves in. This movie to me is one of the better movies that's come out in 2024. I think that this movie didn't have a lot of hype, a lot of build up around it. I saw the trailer a couple of times while I was in theaters, but it doesn't give away too much in the trailer. And I think I think it gives you something to look forward to in the film, as the trailer lays the foundation and then builds upon that. There's a lot of things that happen in this movie that I think are really interesting, and a lot of the kind of metaphorical situations that he is comparing things to is really interesting to me. But they also kind of like don't work. And one of the characters even mentions that in the movie, that the metaphors that he made, or like the analogies that he made, don't work in the way that he anticipated them to be. And then they get into like factual reasons of why that is. But I think overall this film is very enjoyable. I think it's a film where Hugh Grant acts in ways that we maybe haven't seen him act in a while. The last two movies that I really notably remember him in are Paddington 2 and playing an Oompa Loompa in the new Willy Wonka movie with Timothy Chalamet. This film to me really just allows Sophie Thatcher to kind of get that breakout role in a film that she hasn't had, and allows Hugh Grant to kind of cement his legacy as how great of an actor he is. Sophie Thatcher is best known for Yellow Jackets, the series that is currently on Showtime. I think season 3 is coming right around the corner, but it really allows her to be seen as an actress. And I think that she's somebody who's not really notably known for really anything. And like I said, I only know her from Yellow Jackets. I believe she was in Maxine, and I think she's in one other thing that I've seen, but I also know that she's going to be in a movie with Jack Quaid called Companion, and I'm looking forward to that now, having seen this film and seeing how beautifully she could portray this character. I'm interested to see how she takes the character she's going to play in The Companion and play that. I think she's somebody who embodies emotion really, really well. Sometimes when you get actors or actresses that are new in film, you don't really get to feel the emotions that the character's feeling. And I think that Sophie Thatcher does a really good job of making you feel as an audience how she's currently feeling by her body language, her emotions, how she's speaking to Hugh Grant's character, Mr. Reed. And it really takes you on this journey throughout this film that you kind of can get lost in. I think this film is a beautiful film from top to bottom. There's nothing in this film that I think is subjectively bad. I think that the movie itself as a whole is very, very good. And I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, which equates to about a 90% if you want to get technical. Maybe a little lower than that if you want to do the math on that. But I think that the film itself, its runtime is good, the acting is good, the story is good, and I think that it's a movie that, as somebody who is religious, it takes you on this journey of what do you actually believe in, and I think you get to see that struggle with the characters as well. Of, hey, what do you actually believe in? If you believe in God, why would God put you in this situation, etc. And I think it's a really cool idea because it's not telling you what to believe, but it's telling you, hey, if you believe this, what about this? And I think that's often, as any religion goes, I think that you're constantly questioning X, Y, and Z because, sometimes it's harder to believe that there might be a higher power, but you're putting your trust in the fact of that. And so there's so much in this film where the motto of the film is question everything, where it leaves the characters questioning everything. And even like in my own mind, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting point that he's making. But the characters are kind of counteracting that with, well, yes, while that might seem true, here's this instead. I think the film does a really good job of talking about how modern religion can get kind of cloudy sometimes based upon X, Y, and Z. We've gone from where the religion started to where we are now societally. And I think that as time has gone on, maybe the translations have gotten a little weird, a little cloudy. I think what's really interesting to me is this film lays out a foundation on what Mormonism was founded on and how Mormonism has changed since being founded. It talks about, Joseph Smith and how he founded it. They talk about polygamy and how polygamy was at one time accepted into the religion, but now it's been outdated based upon the foundations that Mormonism was founded on. So this movie touches on polygamy and Mormonism, to be more specific. And so basically they start talking about polygamy, and Hugh Grant's character goes, hey, do you believe that a man should have multiple wives? Do you believe in polygamy? Because you're a Mormon. And so they start touching on, polygamy and Mormonism and how it's an outdated thing. And the reason that it was okay back when Joseph Smith first founded Mormonism was because it was believed that the purpose was multiple wives, bring more children into the world, to have more Mormons and to spread the gospel more. But then Hugh Grant's character questions this and goes, well, how do we know that that's what the calling for Joseph Smith actually was? How do we know that it wasn't just Joseph Smith saying this because he's a man and he wanted to use it as a power trip? They talk about how did his wife feel about this? Maybe she felt really, really terrible because he's having all these affairs, and his justification of this was, oh, hey, I feel called to do this because my purpose of doing this is to bring more children into the world, to spread the gospel. And so it flips that on its head, but it also flips other things on its head. There's a spot in the film that I think is really cool where Hugh Grant has this curtain up. When he pulls the curtain back, the curtain has all these different religions, and he starts talking about, before Christianity was founded, here are X, Y, and Z of similarities to Christianity that Christianity may have adapted into their religion. Before Jesus, there was this. And so I think it's really, really cool and really, really interesting to hear those plot points, because for me, it led me to learn something that I didn't personally know. So it touches on Krishna, it touches on the Egyptians, it touches on a lot of different things where it's like, hey, this person was Christian, hey, this person was believed to have these powers before Jesus. But Christianity is built up with the belief of Jesus Christ, and so I think that the thing there is that it's like, hey, Jesus did all of these things, but here are all these people that individually comprised of similar things that Jesus was able to do. Like, this guy was a carpenter, this guy was believed to be able to perform miracles, etc. So it was really interesting to hear that, because I hadn't dived deep enough into religion to learn those factoids. And so it was really interesting to me because I hadn't heard of the certain things that he was talking about. And I don't know factually how true they are. I need to go and do my research. But it was really, really cool because it allowed you to question everything, which I think is the whole purpose of the movie. I think the whole purpose of the movie is that slogan, is question everything, because you're questioning everything that's happening in the movie, but it's also getting you to go down your own faith crisis if you're religious. If you're like, man, what do I believe? Like, is this believable? And there's a really, really cool part in the film that touches on prayer, and I really liked what they said about it. Because I'm not going to get into spoilers, but I think that the plot point there that they were making about prayer is really, really interesting, and it kind of made me go, huh, interesting. If you love horror or like horror-esque movies, this movie kind of takes you on a trip where it's not necessarily horror. It's more of a thriller where you're drug along, and it allows you to go on this journey with the two characters that are in the film and experience maybe what they're experiencing at the same time if you're somebody who is religious. But even if you're not religious, I think this film is still a great film. I think Hugh Grant, he acts his ass off in a way that I haven't seen from him in quite a while. Like I said, the two movies that I notably know him from recently are Paddington 2 and Willy Wonka, where he plays an Oompa Loompa, which is absurd because this role is him basically being like, hey, by the way, I can still act, and here's 2 hours of me acting my ass off. Enjoy. I also think that this film really, like I said, lays the foundation for who Sophie Thatcher is as a person and as an actress. I think that this is the first time that we're going to see her on the big screen, but I think that there's many more roles that she's going to be able to play in the future. I'm interested to see the companion, like I said, with Jack Quaid and her, and interested to see what kind of character she plays in that. But ultimately, I'm just interested to see her in more roles. But I also think that what it's going to allow her to do is explore new options, where right now she's doing kind of horror-esque thriller movies. She may be able to expand upon that in the future because of X, Y, and Z that she's doing. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to see if she expands who she is as an actress and the type of movies that she does. I think that this film is going to open doors for her, and I think it's also going to open doors for Chloe East. I wasn't sure at first how I felt about Chloe East's character. As the film goes on, her character becomes more of a pivotal part of the plot. I think the film wants you to be able to see the kind of transition of power between the characters as the film goes on, because Sophie Thatcher's character is so far in the forefront of the movie that Chloe East's character kind of falls into the background. But as the film goes on, that starts to switch, and I think that that's really, really cool. So I'm interested to see what happens for her. But yeah, guys, this has been my review of Heretic, and I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch this review. If there's anything that you want to see me review, or if there's anything that I should have on my radar, please let me know down below in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.